All right. Hello, everybody. We are not prepared. No research, but we did read the comics. This is UK CORRAL. I am your co-host, Mike L., and as always, I'm joined by Adam-Antium.
Beep borp.
All right.
What was that sound?
Oh, it's a robot. Beep borp.
He can never do the same sound effect twice. And also, we're also joined by Nice Man.
You know what? I should use an old phrase from an old British TV show. The host used to say, "Nice to be here, nice." So I think that would match with Nice Man.
Nice. Okay, that's your tagline. So we're here because we're finishing off the first storyline of Robo Hunter. And this is the Droid Files. We talked about the history of this thing before. The only thing our listeners have to know is this was written by John Wagner of Judge Dredd and Batman fame, and drawn by Ian Gibson of, what's he most famous for?
Robo Hunter.
Robo Hunter. No, he did something with Alan Moore, didn't he?
Well, he did Ballad of Hello Jones.
Right.
Halo
Judge
Jones.
Dredd.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Halo
There you
Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we said previously, we're doing very quick summaries, then we're going to talk about each chapter, and Nice Man has volunteered to do the first chapter here.
Well, now, I have read everything, and I will say that you've seen that. No, I will say that, as we know from before, Sam Spade with Commander Kid, who's just a little infant, reduced to infant size, and Sam Spade, Robo Hunter, with his little robot attachments like Cutie on his hip. They're on the planet of robots, and the planet of robots, of course, have been waiting for humans to come for some time now, but no humans have actually come. And then Sam Spade isn't even considered to be human because it's been so long that they believe that humans would still be superior to them. But by this point in time, they're really kind of superior to the average human. So they can only guess that Sam Spade is a sim, like a simulation of a human. But of course, he's a human. But that just shows you how completely out of whack everything is. And really, I was thinking, isn't this Sam Spade Robo Hunter story a bit like Heart of Darkness? Isn't he trying to get to the heart of darkness on this robot planet to effectively end the menace of the robot planet? Because it is a menace now, because they can't recognize a human when they see one. And so therefore Sam Spade is on the run, and along with little Commander Kid. And so they're watching they're in hiding. They've watching a TV show. And there's one thing I want to mention here. I know we don't want to get too specific, but they're watching a robot crooner in a rocking chair playing a guitar with some robot backing singers, and it says the Valve Dunican Show, the Valve Dunican Show, which of course for me made me laugh, because when I was a kid, one of the popular shows on the BBC was the Val Dunican Show. So this is who the robot is, Valve Dunican. It's just, a little pun. And they realize from the TV show that they're being hunted, because there's a news broadcast that is basically telling the robots, go get Sam Spade and Commander Kid. And so they've got to escape. And where are they going to escape to? Like the sewers. Where does everybody escape to? In stories like this, they escape to the sewers. But unfortunately, in the sewers, there's a whole host of little robot critters that attack them. They remind me of what are they called? The Cybermen, little Cybermen Doctor Who. They remind me of that. And then even worse than that, there's a huge mechanical kind of sewer what would you call it? Sewer rats? Something like that. Yeah, so they're in deep SHIT.
Okay.
Well, it's appropriate. They're in a sewer.
Yes, that was my inspiration.
So I'll just say one thing. My first impression. I'm not even talking about the story yet, but I personally am not loving the inking in this art. Okay. I'm not enjoying it when I'm reading it. However, I always notice that when we go back and review these comics, as I'm looking at it kind of farther away, because I'm zoomed out a little bit, right? I'm appreciating the storytelling and the, what is that called? Spotting blacks.
Mhm.
As we're flipping through, I'm appreciating that a lot more, especially like you can see like the perspective here, or this is a great page, you know? That's a great page. Like this is a really good page. The way that they fall into this level. Then we have two panels here, and then at the bottom panel, it's giving you a completely different perspective. But the way the two panels are joined together. But I just want to know, since Adam-Antium, you haven't spoken yet. Do you have a similar impression, or do you love the inking, or am I way off base here?
Well, I will say the artistry, the illustrations, and the inking are my favorite parts of this book. Like,
Okay.
and this is going to be something I repeat over and over again. Something that's brought up, just recently with that reference to the television show, and also I think even sporadically throughout our last review of this run is just there's a lot of cultural references I don't get because they're very of the time or they're very pointed towards something for UK culture at the time that this comic came out. So some of the humor, some of the puns are lost on me, but the visual language of the book is incredible. And if you go forward, I believe it's 2 pages, Mike, there is just a creative use of layouts. It's actually the next page is what I'm thinking of, where we have this like delineating kind of cascading fall of panels. It seems pretty standard. It's your grid layout. But what I love is when you contrast this to the next page, and you don't have that same grid layout. You actually have this sort of border around, I guess you could call it the second panel underneath the top primary panel that goes around to a full orb surrounding Sam Slade's face. And it's just interesting how the panel layout defies a lot of convention while still being very easy to read. Because the artwork is very detailed with use of a lot of black spotting and cross-hatching, it would be very easy for this to become chaotic and lose, I guess you could say, a sense of cohesion, but it doesn't do that. It actually flows really well. With that said, I don't have too much else to say about this. These are such short, truncated bits. It's hard to have a lot of thoughts on it, but, it gets the story going. I think I'll have more to say for the next issue, though.
Okay. I'm going to say one last thing. Okay, by the way, this last page is really good. And by the way, look at this page. The fact that at the top, these sewer rats are black, but in the bottom page, we get more detail with like the shell or whatever. I just think that's smart use of black and white inking. But I have to say, I am officially tired of the whole premise of the Sims and thinking they're Sims, but they're not Sims. I'm sorry, but it's just driving me bonkers. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, okay, on to the next one. So is it my turn? I guess we'll my turn, right? And then Adam, you can go next.
Whatever you prefer, Mike.
And I'm going to do my best. I also have a hard time remembering things that I just read. So, but all I remember about this one is what I see, which is that they're basically, as we can see, trapped. They're in this sewer. Oh, yes. And this is where they encounter this big, giant kind of monster thing. And, oh, geez, just a minute. I have to zoom into this. I don't remember where they end up or why they end up there. But they end up, meeting this new character. What is his name? I don't remember.
B.O.
B.O. Yes, I remember B.O. And then what happens with B.O.? I don't remember.
Well, B.O. is, a great caricature.
Oh,
Almost like
someone that we don't know?
A Victorian caricature.
Okay.
And where his speech patterns and everything is lonely. He, wants to keep them there for company. It's the kind of thing that happens when you're on a journey. You come across such a character who wants to keep you there.
Sure.
He arranges a game, and of course, he's going to cheat to try to keep them there.
That's that. Okay, as I'm flipping through, let me just point out, like, this page to me is not great. That's an example of the type of inking I don't like. where you have all this detail in the middle here, and it just becomes kind of like your eye doesn't know what to focus on, you know?
Hmm.
I will admit that's one of the few parts in this run where I think the inking and the line work gets chaotic, because I complimented it before where it seems to eschew that and there's still a good flow despite the busyness of the artwork. I think this is one of the few issues where it didn't really cohere that well, and it does seem too busy. I still think the creative layout is very admirable. It's just, it has some deficiencies. I'll admit that for this particular issue.
He does do, as we said, Ian Gibson, good variation in panels,
Mm-hmm.
which is admirable. And also something I'm going to say now also refers to when we reviewed Sam Spade before. If you go back to the opening page to this chapter, for me, again, this is worthy of framing. Absolutely. I would love to have that original page, have it framed and hanging up. I think it's a great perspective, great rendition. I mean, you could just feel these things crawling all over him, and the perspective is just so good. I love it. I would frame this.
I mean, to me, that's a good page, but like this is good. Like the way that he's falling towards us, then the camera switches to looking down at him. Then we're down in the stream with him, or whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
I just love that, the way the camera jumps around.
Yes.
And then in this page, I like how we have in the middle section here, we have a panel, then we have we have like a border, then no border, then border, then no border. Just little things like that make the storytelling interesting, you know?
Yeah.
And I will say figures in these panels, they actually encroach against the borders as well, and they go over the borders of their panel into others. I like that dynamic that Gibson does with his art.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to say about this chapter, or you want us to jump to the next one?
Well, no, I think we've said it. They're kind of like prisoners of BO, great name. And do you guys like Commander Kidd?
Commander Kidd?
Commander Kidd.
I don't think I know what that is.
This
That's
guy.
the baby.
Oh, you mean, the baby. Yeah, okay. Do I like him?
Yeah, his character. As a character.
I think the problem is that I wonder, like I said last episode, what's the benefit, or what do we get out of making him a baby? I don't know. Other than it being like this kind of funny gimmick, you know?
Yeah, and you've got to admire the tongue in cheek. British writers, they tend to be either like greatly into horror or tongue in cheek or mind trips or something like that. And this has got such good tongue-in-cheek stuff. Even with like Cutie, the little robot on his hip, is one of my favorite characters. Absolutely, visually, nicely tongue-in-cheek, and the name and the comments made. And this, I think, is a lot of fun. The guy's name happens to be Kidd. All right, we're going to give him an experience where he gets zapped back. So he's got his adult mind and cynicism and speech, but he's in the body of an infant. It's just a delicious touch. And the Valve Dunican, just for me, is hilarious. That's like a weekly British comic book like Beano or Dandy. That's the kind of character they would have.
So, okay, how far ahead, like, does this character remain a baby for the duration of the run?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. All right. I guess we can jump to the next chapter.
Yeah, I will handle this one, and I'll give my thoughts more in depth after I'm done this particular issue. It's exactly where we left off. There is a game that's about to be played between B.O. and his captors, or his captives, I should say, to determine if they get to stay with him forever or if they get to leave. And it's a game of Roboopoly. And with this game, there are little automatons that play the game, and it's obviously rigged where BO is winning because the little figurines that he's using are sentient and are cheating and basically ploying and planning against our heroes. Well, in the end, Sam Slade is trying to figure out what would be best to do in order to escape. And he realizes, well, we will win, but what we're going to do is we're going to actually talk to these little figurines because, like everything else in this world, they're robots. And he basically convinces them, hey, you don't want to stick around with BO. Why don't you actually do this and break some rules and help us win the game? And so they manage to convince their little tokens to do that. They then break the rules and manage to best BO in Robopoly. And they leave this giant alligator trash compactor from that, and that's how that issue ends. So I'm going to give a few viewpoints on this. I think at this point, the joke is starting to wear thin on me. I do have to agree with Mike, and it's not so much the idea that I don't like the absurdity of it. I actually do like the character of Captain Kidd. I think that's very funny.
Captain? He's a captain, not a commander, right? Captain?
Oh, sorry, Commander Kidd. My apologies. Commander Kidd. I like that character. I like Sam Slade being a little spin-off of Sam Spade and a bit of Humphrey Bogart. I think those elements are fine. And I like the neo-noir kind of deconstruction of that and the farcical nature of this. But I'm just starting to find the attempts of humor grating. I did not like BO as a character. I did not like his speech patterns. I did not like his bumpkin sort of vernacular that he was using. And I found there's only so many beats we can go through where we have a very clear path now of what's going to happen. Basically, Sam Slade has to get to this main compound to talk to the head of the robots. And this is just one episodic aside in this journey. There's no stakes. There's nothing really that interesting in it. Even the concept of playing this board game feels a little bit uninteresting to me. I will say, as always, the panel layout, the artwork, the inking is something that keeps me engaged with it. And on one level, I can appreciate the art and I can appreciate the sequential storytelling that occurs within this. I'm just starting to get a little bit wary of how long this is taking, and maybe I'll change my mind by the time we get to this run. We'll see. But for now, I'm starting to get a little bit exhausted with the joke.
I agree. I will say with the art, as I said before, sorry. Excuse me. This is a great page because we have, just looking at it, we have a white character and we have a completely black character, and the way that he stands out against the background here is just great. Being dragged along by these two other robots. It's actually, and then look at this bottom panel with a black background. Like that's a great use of black and white. It's smart. But I do agree with Adam that while the art is fine, it's actually really good in this one. I think the joke is wearing too thin, and I think it's dragging out longer than it should. It feels like they're kind of just filling pages at this point. But the art is good. This is another good page right here.
I don't want to talk against a comic that a lot of people really love so much. Like, it's not horrible. Or a character people like. I just hate kind of bumpkin characters that talk with that sort of vernacular. It just feels like such a cheap shot to me. I think it's a personal bias where that just rubs me the wrong way. Luckily, for my sake, BO will not be reappearing aside from one little quick vignette for the rest of this run. But anyway, sorry if BO happens to be your favorite Robo Hunter character. He didn't do anything for me.
Not mine. Doesn't it also remind you of isn't it Gollum? What's his name from Lord of the Rings?
Gollum?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. I think there's a bit of an affectation with that speech pattern. I just kind of took him as being like a simple country bumpkin. He's using plurals where he shouldn't be, and he's talking like this. And it's just like, It's like, why would you build a robot to be an idiot? That just doesn't make sense. And right. I know, I'm trying to make sense of a universe where there's a Commander Kidd. I know, but still. Maybe that just was a bit too much to take me out of the universe.
Well, later on I'm going to give you a quiz related to Robo Hunter. I'll give you a quiz question later on.
Later on? Okay. Yeah.
Is it worth half my grade?
Yes.
Oh, but I really didn't study.
Well, in that case, you'll probably do well.
Okay, so I believe it is Nice Man's turn.
All right, where the hell, what point have we reached now, I wonder?
We're on page
No.
79.
That doesn't help me, I'm afraid. So anyway, they're on can we say they're on their Odyssey?
Sure.
Everything always makes me think of something else. This is maybe ADD or something, I don't know. Is this now like a bit like a Jason and the Argonauts? They're on their journey, and among other things, they meet vending machines that unfortunately nobody has ever bought from. So that's a great, pathos. You feel great sympathy for them. They're vending machines and they've never vended anything. But yes, right. Of course, they get attacked along the way, but he's able to sharpshoot, right? He's got that, what would you call his gun? I was going to say stun gun, but it's more than that, isn't it? He's able to put them out of commission. And
laser gun.
Oh, laser gun, right? Laser gun.
I don't know.
A space laser or a spacer.
Yeah. Then he gets sidetracked because of an escape. Commander Kidd leads him through a side entrance, and he comes across, of course, more bizarre characters. And I love these bizarre characters because it's like you never know what you're going to find, down the hallway through this door. And look who we have here. It's just, I'm sorry, I've got one more reference. In Blade Runner, remember Sebastian? Mm-hmm. When they go to Sebastian's place because they want to get information about the maker and everything.
Yeah. And
Sebastian is surrounded by Robo Hunter type toys in a way. They're all walking, talking, and this and that. And so this, for me, is a little bit of a touch of going into Sebastian's home, because there are these full of character little robot. They're not toys, are they? Oh, and this is where we get introduced to the whole politics of things, because they're political robots representing different political parties, and we learn in time that there's a whole load of robot political parties, and of course it's perfect for satirizing. And with these two that they've met, there's the very stupid party, of course, and what's the other party of the other one? What does it say?
Oh, they're both multiple. There's the necktie party. There's the fun party. There's multiple. And there will be more revealed later on in this run.
Yeah. There's also eccentric party, angry party, stirred up party.
So you see, in a way, I know you both said the joke is getting thin, but in a way, you never know what's around the corner. It has so many references, like I just said. On the one hand, it's a trip into the heart of darkness, or it's a Jason and the Argonauts, or it's the Odyssey or something. On the other hand, it's got those touches of Blade Runner with Sebastian and all his creatures. And here, when you see the record, what pumps out the speaker of the house with the foghorn, this reminds me of the Flintstones. You've got it reminds me of so many things. It's just fun. Just absolute fun. There's no great character introspection, no soap opera. It's just fun. Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to say what the hell happened. Anyway, more of the same. And then they come across all these political parties, mm-hmm. including the very stupid party and all kinds. It's fun.
So no, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it's kind of become almost like, you said Odyssey. But it's also, I don't even know what you would call this.
I would say, if you're comparing it to literature, of anyone going on a journey, like the very last page, Sam Slade himself is singing "I'm Off to See the Wizard," so there's some
There you
parallels.
go.
They're running with that with
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, Wizard of
I would
Oz.
argue more it's Gulliver's Travels. It's
Yeah.
trying to have this character go on this journey and through this very sardonic, very accentuated universe of absurdity, point out social absurdities. And for me, I like that. I like that type of commentary when people can do that, when it's effective. You know, Gulliver's Travels stands the test of time because even if some of the particular references aren't really relevant anymore, the overarching theme of it, the absurdity of these systems that people create, the kind of, I guess you could say, temporality of order is always usurped by the disorder that Gulliver encounters in these journeys. The thing is with this, this is when I really took a turn for the comic and I really dislike this issue. And the reason is because of the political parties. I think this was a great opportunity to do some great satire. You could have parties representing different things, being parallels to actual parliamentary groups, and maybe doing something that would poke fun at certain legislation or certain, I don't know, platforms. Here, though, it's just like, it's the very stupid party. It's the fun party. This isn't satirizing anything. Saying political groups are stupid isn't that clever. Like, no one likes politicians. It's just, in the end, to me, it's a little bit facile to have this as an attempt at some sort of, I don't know, satirical storytelling method when I'm not even sure it's being satirized. But if it was, maybe this is a parallel for like the Tories, or if this is I don't know, a parallel for some other political group, I could understand that, but I don't get the correlations. And because of that, it fell a little bit flat for me. It was like that skit from The Simpsons, Mike will know what I'm talking about, where they replaced the radio host with an automatic voice buzzer, and it goes...
I wouldn't know. No, my knowledge of The Simpsons after the first few years is sparse.
Okay, well, this might still ring a bell. The radio DJs are going to be replaced by this automatic voice machine that goes, "What a bunch of clowns in Parliament. Wow, politicians, what a bunch of clowns." And it's making fun of lazy political satire.
Sure.
And that's what that read as for me. That really took me out of it. And I will say things pick up a little bit more for me as we go on this run. I really didn't care for this issue.
Do you remember the political parties in Steve Gerber's Howard the Duck?
Now, those I thought were clever because those actually were parallels to real political parties, or at least were clever wordplay.
Wasn't there the all-night party?
Yeah, and I think when you're poking fun at kind of the excess of politicians, like, there's some parallels here. This, I don't know, it fell flat for me.
Well, you can save that discussion for our Steve Gerber podcast, followed by our Steve Englehart podcast. Okay. So I believe it's my turn. I'm probably going to do even worse than I did last time because I don't really remember anything that happened. Oh, but now, you know what this reminds me of, guys? Honestly, it's Cerebus. Now, obviously, Cerebus was after this. But the way that, and this is a good thing, in a way, the fact that these characters can run into just about any type of characters on this journey is interesting. So now we've run into a religious satire, right? With a guy that kind of looks like the Pope, and then another guy that looks like, I don't know what. Maybe he's supposed to be a rabbi.
Yes, he's supposed to be a rabbi. Look at the speech patterns.
Yeah, a priest and a rabbi. There you go. And of course, I don't remember what happens in this one, but the art looks good.
Well, the art on the first page again, isn't that great?
Yeah. I mean,
that first panel.
This is just incredible. Like, this shows how good of an artist Ian Gibson is. That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, honestly, like I said, I read these 2 weeks ago, and I was rushing because I thought we were recording, but then we missed a week, then we missed another week. I'm not blaming anybody; it's my fault, but I'm not the best at summarizing these.
Well,
but the
Mike,
art is good.
This is kind of the climax. This is where they meet the big bad, I guess technically, big brain.
The wizard. It's the Wizard of Oz, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. Right. And that's it. That's all I know.
Do you mind if I do
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
little recounting, Mike? So
Sure.
basically, he ends up encountering the big brain, which is the big bad that's controlling all these robots. Essentially, he breaks the big brain. He overloads him with some information, snaps his mind, and as that happens, all the robots are free from his tyranny, and then Sam Slade is at first looking like he's going to be celebrated as a hero, but there's discord amongst the robots, and you have two different robot generals for Class 9 and Class 2, General 1, General 2. Basically, they're going to have a war to see, in the end, do they consider Sam Slade a human or do they consider him a sim? And that's going to be basically the conflict for the rest of the comic.
Which, again, I don't know if that conflict can sustain my interest for, what is it, 43 more pages, but we'll find out. And I'm trying to be extra nice because I know that I was very defensive about Detective Comics last week, so I'm trying to go easy on these, nice man.
You are the new nice man.
Yeah.
I just want to jump in because I know I was very critical over the last issue, and I said I think things pick up a little bit. I like this. We don't get a lot of satire with those two religious robots. They'll play more into a story a little bit later on. So now they're just kind of background dressing. This I like. I like the absurdity of Sam Slade not being able to actually defeat the big brain robot. He has to overload him, and that's how he wins. And I like this anticlimax of when it appears that he's won the victory and then everything's going to be saved, there's actually discord because there's still this bias between these robots. One faction believes they're Sims, the other factions actually believe that they're human beings. And I think this is good political satire. This is when we see that discord happening where it points out the absurdity of these sort of fissures that occur that create war, create political antipathy. And for me, this is what I wish was featured in the last issue. I actually really enjoyed this one. And as Mike commented, I think the art is exceptional in this one as well. This is I know it's so hard to say for these truncated 10-issue or 10-page issues, but yeah, this was a bit of a return to form for the comic for me.
Nice man, what do you think?
All the same things, really, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do, and I love all the visual touches, that they put on, like with that kind of pug-faced general, one of the two main combatants, and then what does it say on his chest plate? Kill. Like there's absolutely no subtlety desired in this.
What about the joke? It'll take more than you junk keeps to handle Sam Slade. That's SLAYED to you creeps.
Yeah, that's all right. A bit like, I mean, what can I say?
It's not a great joke, I'll say that, but whatever.
Yeah,
I like the fact that kind of points out the fact that Sam Slade is a little bit of a lunkhead, and
Right.
he has to over-explain a joke. I appreciate that a little bit. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. We still got a lot of chapters to go. Let's jump to the next one. I think, Adam, you're doing this one, right?
Yeah, I'll take care of this one. This is just basically the preface for the next section of the storyline. So, as established, two factions of warbots about to go to war. And they kind of are coded to be UK and German adjacent. So you definitely are going to get a little bit of a World War II evocation with this. Now, what is interesting, and I like how Commander Kidd, he wants to start being taken care of and have this sort of, I guess you could say, luxurious lifestyle now that half of the robots view him as a human, as this thing that needs to be taken care of constantly. There's a great little bit where he wanted some nice duds made for himself. So a tailor robot makes him a little sailor suit because he's a little kid. And because he's so upset at this, he actually incinerates that robot with a gun. And what does Sam Slade do to punish his compatriot? Well, he picks him up and he spanks him because he's been a bad kid. Oh.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Now, we do dive a little bit more into the discord of these different political parties, and we see it reveals more why I didn't like the concept of it, because there is a myriad, an entire room full of these parties. You have the stupid party, the very stupid party, the doubtful party, the sarcastic party, the fun party, the Christmas party. Like, I don't know. To me, it just isn't all that fun. There's little jokes where suddenly the fun party encourages the entire parliament to start doing a conga line, and it just, I don't know, the joke just dies for me. But the main crux of this is there is discord amongst the robots, and a war is about to be waged, and that's where we end the issue with the onset of the battle that's about to take place.
I think, Adam, you should summarize every chapter of every issue we ever cover, because Mike and I were like, that what happened? I seem to remember.
I have to agree, because honestly, unless it's a comic I've read 20 times, I just cannot remember plots of any comics I read. It's terrible.
Brain rot. It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Adam,
that worm.
I don't want to put, yeah, that's exactly what it is. I don't want to put that responsibility on you, Adam, but I'm going to vote with Paul on that. But it's up to you.
At least for this series, if I feel I need to fill in some gaps. How about that?
Okay. It's going to happen, but okay.
So where are we now? They're about to, the war is on, right? Okay, yeah.
So are we going to the next one, or are we still talking about this one?
I think we can go to the next one, can't we?
Okay. So I think it's your turn, Iceman.
Well, it's all-out war now between the two factions, and this requires such detailed artwork by Ian Gibson that after just doing the splash page alone, my God, I think he would need a vacation for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it my imagination? This is not computer generated, of course, because it went at the time when it was done.
But even the second page, I would argue, even more so when you flip to that.
Yeah, I mean, my God, this guy, he really knocked himself out doing all of this. And how much can you have earned, really, from doing a short strip in 2000 AD? I mean, not much, surely.
And that's why I have no sympathy for modern artists that use computer assistance to, I think we talked about this, modify, like they'll draw a figure, then they'll use a computer to move the arm here, move it there, move it back. That, I don't consider that real art at all. That's borderline AI to me, but whatever.
Yes.
Another discussion.
Well, one day, I mean, we won't be here. There'll be AI-generated images. We'll be long dead, but our AI images will still be doing these series.
Yeah. Maybe AI people will be reading them too. Who knows, right?
Yes.
Anyway.
So anyway, yeah, the all-out war, it's a lot of fun. Got almost Disney-esque bits in it, like from Jungle Book with the marching elephants and there's so much you could say. I don't want to say it. I love is that a telephone in the head, right? In the helmet?
Yeah. Oh, at the bottom here?
Yeah. Of one of the leaders. He's got a phone in the helmet. That's fun. Anyway, so they're all fighting and it's a lot of fun. And what's on the next pages? Sam Spade gets involved in it. I forget why he gets involved in it, but he's in it. Lots of action. Oh, and then finally, there's a war wagon that appears, and it's almost like Jack Kirby-esque.
Right.
It's just so massive. It's obviously going to eat them all up and crush everyone and everything in sight. And as Sam Spade says, "Holy Joe Smith, get me out of here." And that's right.
Well,
you never know what's coming.
Yeah, you never know what's coming in this book. Yeah, the art is good. It is nice that we're finally getting to what we've been building towards for so long, right?
I guess so. You'd have to ask them what was your point in doing it, and I bet that they would just say just to have some fun.
Probably.
just have fun
Which there's
along.
nothing wrong with. I mean, yeah, it's almost like you're saying that they're kind of just making up as they go along. They probably are. There's nothing wrong with that, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I just look at this art, and I do agree. The hours, the attention to detail this took, how much it took Gibson just to go through this and add the fine cross-hatching and detail on all these different figures to have the articulation of all these different robots being incinerated or shooting laser blasts in battle. I think of the hours spent on it, and I think, I wish that was for a better story, because this is just a fight scene. That's all this issue is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made it clear in the past, one of my least favorite things in comics are fight scenes, because I just don't care for them.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a few I care for. I think Miracle Man is one of those few exceptions I really enjoy, but to me, it just leaves me cold. There is a kineticness to the art, which I appreciate, and on an objective level, I think it's admirable. But then I think about, something like From Hell and all the years that was taken to painstakingly craft that artwork and just make sure everything flowed together, all the research Alan Moore conducted and all the time that he collaborated with Campbell on that, and all the amount of detail to make a fine-tuned visual story. And I think of this and all the hours it took to basically just have robots shoot each other. And it's not funny. That's the thing for me with this issue. I did not laugh once. And for me, for a comedy comic, that's the sign of something that fell a bit short.
I can agree with that. Nice man.
Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing. I'd forgotten that Ian Gibson, he did 3 issues of Green Lantern Corps with Steve Englehart. And he also did the Millennium series with Steve Englehart.
That was Joe Staton.
Yeah, I need to double check that. Yeah, I would say too, Joe Staton did that.
Or Joe Staton, yeah.
But Ian Gibson called Millennium. Oh, what did I say?
Millennium.
I just said, because Ian Gibson called Millennium stupid shit.
Ian Gibson did, or Joe Staton did?
No,
Ian
Gibson
did.
Okay.
No, I know that quote. Yeah.
He called DC's Millennium crossover stupid shit.
This Millennium series.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway.
I have mixed feelings about that. But anyway, we should jump to the next chapter, right?
Yeah, let's jump.
I think it's my turn. Ooh, boy, this is going to be short. Robo Hunter, okay. So he's fighting the big Kirby thing. And then there's more robots that show up. We have Colonel, we have General. That's about all I remember. Sorry, folks. I'm not very good at this. Anyone who's tuning in for the first time, this is going to be the first and last episode of UK CORRAL. Trust me, it's better.
You're breaking nice man's heart, because his favorite character pulled the ultimate sacrifice in this issue.
This is true.
Yes, that's right. That's right, Mike. How could you overlook that?
Yeah.
How could you? Because there's one way to defeat this robot army, and what way is it? Cutie has a self-destruct mechanism, so she detaches herself from his hip, the hip belt or whatever, and rolls herself in among the robot army. And what does she say? Goodbye, Sam. I love you. I mean, what great pathos. And then she self-destructs and blows them to smithereens. And now, I said there isn't really like character development, but now there is, because we've got the pathos from Cutie's sacrifice, and Sam Spade is devastated because that was his one true friend.
Yeah, it is sad. I'll give you that.
Hey, I've been Mr. Cynical about this comic, obviously. But I'm going to admit, like, one of the issues I have, because I think comedy comics, in general, oftentimes try to omit character development for the sake of a gag, and I feel that's a mistake because you can have really good comedy while having character development and nuance. It's not a lot, but this did something. There was a recurring character that's dead now, and that actually sacrificed her life for Sam. And, I think maybe it can come across as a little bit of a rote exchange, but in the context of this sort of comic where everything is just sarcasm and one-liners and puns, that actually came across as quite effective, and I appreciated that. I will say, even though it seems like we're just getting into a series of big battles, I shouldn't say enjoyed, but I was affected by the fact that this character actually died, and it showed, oh, maybe there are stakes in this comic. So for me, again, there's a lot of ups and downs in this reading process for this run. That put me on a little bit of an upswing, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I was really pissed off.
Maybe that's why I'm so happy. Nice man got a little upset.
All
Never
right.
happens.
Okay, we might as well jump to the next one, right?
Yes.
I'll
I
try
believe
to
it's Adam-Antium's turn.
I will attempt justice for this one.
All right.
Justice for Cutie, because now Sam Spade is on the warpath, screaming out, "Come get it, you murdering Robo scum," blasting through all the robot army to get revenge for his fallen comrade. So at this point, the battle is continuing on. They're trying to figure out, how do we finally end this? And it turns out there might be a potential to do this if only they could somehow get to a big headquarters to broadcast something. And we're going to get to what that is in a moment. The taxi from earlier, the last time we were reading this comic weeks and weeks ago, makes a return. And there's a big chase scene where the taxi is being pursued as it's carrying Sam Spade and his cohorts away from the battle of these armies. And it's within the taxi cab that Sam has an idea of how to finally end this war. As with everything leaving on a cliffhanger, that's that issue.
Any thoughts on it, Adam-Antium?
Adam just gave... No, sorry, go on.
Well, I was just gonna say it's part of the run, so I'll leave my thoughts for another issue. But nice man, what about you?
Commander Kid gets to have a bit more involvement in this, and we haven't said anything about the robot sidekicks, have we? Isn't it? What's the other one's name? Isn't it Hoagie?
I don't know.
Well, there's
The one-
Boots.
Not Boots, the one with the smokestack coming out of his head.
Oh,
I think that's Hoagie. And, he loses a leg here or a leg there, and Sam puts it back together again. And, again, I like them. The Boots one, they're such a bunch of disparate characters. And I think they shouldn't be overlooked. But until now, we've kind of overlooked Hoagie and Boots, and even Cutie. We've only spoken really about Slade and Commander Kid, and we are snobs. We look down on the robots. They're not worthy of our attention.
dilettantes, really.
Yeah, but so now they're, now as we're going on to the next part, I mean, they're getting a ride in that same robot taxi cab, aren't they? Who's only ever had one fare before, which was them, and now this is his second.
Can I ask a question? Is every chapter title a play on a song? Because Radio was Elvis Costello.
Yeah, I think
Just
it
wondering.
is.
Okay, interesting.
I think it is.
Not every single chapter, but quite a few of them are, or they're an homage to like a television serial.
Yeah, I
or
noticed that.
a
Yeah.
film, yeah.
There's always a cross reference.
Okay. So I think, is it Nice Man? Is it your turn or my turn now?
God, I hope it is. It probably is, but I wish it weren't. I like the panel arrangement again. Lots of dead robot bodies now. They're making progress, and he realizes that they're being pursued by another gigantic metal Hulk, and they're going to get squashed. But he could do something through the radio, which is why it's called Radio. And I think he uses the radio station antenna. Is that right?
That's what he
No.
wants to do.
That's what he wants to do.
But he needs Frankie Droid beforehand.
Yeah, Frankie Droid. Why is he called Frankie Droid? Why? You
I
see,
think there was just a lot of crooners with Frankie as their first name. It's just like a general play on that.
okay. Yeah, besides that, he finally has a plan now, and as Commander Kid says, it better be good. And he comes up with some sci-fi babble, right? He's going to take a sound wave accelerator. He's going to amplify this. It's going to do that. You know, I mean, what series like this doesn't come up with some sci-fi babble? And Commander Kid gets to use it, right? Against there's robot hordes coming in, but with this new device, they should be able to do some serious damage. As it says, the next episode is Blowout.
Blowout, like the movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then we open up with the baby shooting.
The baby, that's
The big
Commander
sentence.
Kid.
We open up with the baby
That is
shooting.
Commander Kid.
Commander Kid.
There's no baby.
And basically, yeah, the fight continues. And that's about all I remember. Sorry, folks. We get this big giant monster thing. Oh, this is great art right here. Look at this. This is like Will Eisner falling, and you can feel the fall, right? That's just great. I love that. And he's in water, so the bubbles are coming up, and the motion lines coming off of feet. That's excellent right there. Wow. Master Cartooning 101 right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway. And that's it. And then it looks like they win the battle, and that's about it.
Well, the plot point that's being omitted here is that they have this oscillator that's basically, they're at a radio station because they want to send out the signal, which will basically send out a frequency that will eradicate the minds of every single robot. So this was interesting because even Commander Kid said, but won't this kill every robot on this planet, including the ones that are our friends? And Sam Spade says, yes, it will, but we're going to have to make the sacrifice in order to win.
Right.
And so they go ahead with that. And the succession of all these bodies falling are, I will say, even though I didn't care for every character we're seeing, including B.O., there is this odd pathos happening as we see all these robots becoming deactivated, essentially dying from this act that Sam Spade is doing. And at the very end of the issue, they look down and their friend, I believe you mentioned his name was Hoagie, is down there, also looks like he's dying, but then Sam Spade says, oh, potentially we could still save him, but I'll need to act quick. So, you know, it's interesting. It isn't just a big explosion that kills everything. There's this bitter-sweet element to it where there are characters that have acted sentient and had personalities that are suddenly killed off. So it takes a very dark turn in this ending for the climax.
Yeah, I think so. It does.
All right. Now we're going to jump to that. And that's, I think it's you, Adam-Antium, right?
Yeah. And basically, just running through this one, it takes up exactly where we left off. Sam Spade is able to repair Hoagie, and he's maybe not as good as he once was. Oh, and his name's actually Smokin' Joe. That's what he was, because he has the little steam pipe coming out the top of his skull. Smoking Joe.
That's what they called him. Yeah.
So they're able to reprogram him and get him activated again, but all the other robots, their memories have been obliterated. They are no longer alive, and so they look out at the expanse of Verdus, the planet that they're on, and it's inflamed because all the robots have collapsed. Nothing's operating. They've essentially destroyed the planet. And in another dark turn, Sam Spade is thinking about the facility that housed all the humans that were captured during the initial run of that comic that we read not too long ago. And he suspects, well, the building's on fire. There's nothing we can do about it. These hundreds of human beings are probably dead or dying right now. Another very dark turn for this comic, I have to admit. With that said, the characters somewhat shrug it off and go back onto the spaceship that they originally landed in to do repairs, and they make their way to the planet. or back off the planet to Earth. And there is a little amusing part at the end where, after all this grief that Sam Slade gives Commander Kidd, now Commander Kidd, as the person who's able to pilot the ship, goes, well, you're beholden to me now. You were bossing me around, you're spanking me, you know what you owe me. And so Commander Kidd forces Sam Slade to bend over, so he kicks him in the butt and basically makes him his indentured servant for the remainder of the trip home. And that's how the main conflict on Verdus ends.
Right, and then I believe this is the last chapter now, right?
You're probably hoping it is.
I know it is. Yeah. And with that, nice man, it is. You can take us out.
I hope so. So they've returned. They should be returning as the heroes, and Commander Kidd's one getting all the attention from the luscious ladies, but then Sam gets a little attention as well. Big crowd of people waiting for them, and what happens after that, I don't remember. I have to see the pages.
Oh, sorry.
So then Sam's in. Oh, I see. Yeah, Sam's
that looks good.
Is in conference with the kind of leaders who sent him on his mission, and he produces the photos which shows that the whole planet is burned to smithereens. Everything is dead. And then instead of continuing the welcome home hero kind of things, they turns to great anger because now that planet's been obliterated. And of course, Commander Kidd and Sam are not going to, stand for this BS from these guys. Commander Kidd shoots. Does he shoot one or shoot both of them? Or shoots at least one of them, and so the leaders get their comeuppance, and really Sam and Commander Kidd, they just want to get away, and I think they do, don't they?
Well, not quite. So Sam Slade actually doesn't really care about any vengeance on these people who sent him off. He actually notifies like a police bot to come and take Commander Kidd, and so he's put in a little crib and carried away, potentially for incarceration, whereas Sam Slade, he just wants to ride off into the sunset, so he goes off with his conclave of beauties in this flying car, and that's what ends this first run of Robo Hunter, so the Verdus storyline. Yeah.
You're saying that Sam Slade arranged for Commander Kidd to be carted off?
It looks like it, yes.
And Commander Kidd is going to be held accountable for crimes or something?
Or, I don't know, just put in timeout. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, timeout. That's more appropriate, I think. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we would expect no less from Sam Slade. I mean, his ideal send-off would be just that, right? In a flying car with three beauties. He doesn't need all the other BS that comes along with everything.
No, he just needs bodacious babes and to leave his golden medal off on the street, which is how we end that shot.
Yeah, within the background saying, keep your city clean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this art on this last page is excellent, right? I want to point out, I think a lost art to... I think one of the things we talked about when we reviewed Judge Dredd, it's the ability to have, like, you have this perspective of this car kind of coming around this like futuristic highway, but way in the background you have those figures. I love that. That's something modern artists absolutely do not do. And I noticed they did it right in Judge Dredd, where there'll be like characters up here, then way down here there'll be another scene, and way over here there's another scene. It's just something artists don't bother with anymore,
Yeah.
But yeah,
really. I find a lot of today's art very uninteresting.
Yeah, and there's obviously there's some artists that are great, Chris Samney, Frank Quitely, Greg Smallwood, but It's just that overall, the average comic artist, especially at Marvel and DC, does nothing for me. Nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually heard a very cynical, and I don't want to get sidetracked here, but a very cynical take that basically said that the page rates today are the same as they were 20 years ago or 30 years ago, which with inflation makes them even lower, right? So basically, it's to the point where almost fan fiction level people are the only ones willing to work for Marvel and DC now.
Well, they sell so few copies. I
Right.
mean, what money do the comics make? They don't.
Right.
Right. I mean, at least if you went back to like the mid 80s and people got royalties, and just about every Marvel comic sold, well above 100,000. So you got royalties for every issue sold over 100,000. I mean, some people became extremely rich. Chris Claremont, John Byrne, and
Right.
so on. But now, I mean, how can they afford to pay them much? They don't sell any.
Unfortunately.
Well, they only sell IPs, and that's the whole thing about the big comic industry, at least for superhero comics. So now, like you said, it's going to be fan fiction like enthusiasts who are willing to work for these very nominal fees for big companies, and either because of having too much pressure on them or just not having the skill level or the artistry are producing subpar work. And I will say, I've been very critical over this run that we were going through, I'll admit it. But one thing I always want to compliment is the creativity of the artwork. I would say overall, even if I did feel the joke was running a little bit flat by the end of this run, I always got something from one of these issues. Just strictly in terms of the panel layout, the art, the way the sequential nature of the storytelling played out. There was always something dynamic happening. And for that, I would say I don't give this a hearty endorsement, but I do think if you are an up-and-coming comic artist, don't look at contemporary comics. Obviously, any resource you can have would be good to inform your practice, but these would be crucial to understand, how do I work with panel layout? How do I have things that incorporate foreground and background elements to create perspective? How do I create character bodily movement to, show the dynamic gestures characters are making, or get that sense of kinetic energy? This is an indispensable resource for that. So I think it's a great tool in that regard. I do want to mention something else beyond the art, though, because I brought up in my recap the sort of tonal whiplash I felt when you had these comedy markings from this very sarcastic, sardonic comic, and suddenly you had scenes where an entire world is on fire, these characters that we knew are all dying, and then there's a big warehouse full of human beings that's being incinerated, and it's just kind of shrugged off. Did that? I know you're laughing, so obviously you enjoyed that. But Mike, what about you? Did you have any issue with that sort of shift of tone?
Jim Shooter his head would have exploded. Jim Shooter.
Well, I just think that, I guess it's sort of like you have to gauge, like, what is this? Is it a comedy? That's why I said sometimes this type of artwork reminds me of Mad Magazine. So, and Alan Moore likes working with these guys, right? He's worked with all of them. And there's that level of absurdity that some of the ABC comics had, like, remember Tomorrow Stories?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? The U.S. American? Remember that?
No.
There was U.S. American, there was Splash Brannigan, and it was this type of surreal, absurdist humor. And so it was really hard to gauge how to take it. Don't get me wrong, it was all entertaining and it was all good. But I guess I know what you mean. It's almost like you're not quite sure how to take anything, because they're kind of just making it up as they go along, and
I think
everything's kind of
the entire time, I think that this whole Sam Slade thing defines tongue in cheek, and that's the number one driving thing. It's all tongue in cheek. Now, even when we say, wait a second, you that can't be so. You were saying how actually there was the pathos when Cutie sacrificed herself to save Sam Slade and said, "And I love you, Sam." It's true. It has those moments, but by and large, it's just tongue in cheek.
I would agree with you, but only so far, because I'll compare this to something we've read that I loved, which was Judge Dredd. That world cannot be taken seriously. Everything is exaggerated. Everything is meant to be taken tongue in cheek. There is no sense of gravity to the world because it's meant to be sardonic. Here, it's mainly that, but every once in a while they throw in something that made me feel. I kept using the phrase taken out of the story. And for me, I don't want to argue too much against Robo Hunter. I think there's things in here that work well for the comedy run, that work great as satire. But when you have a series of panels, which we didn't look at today, but we're in our first view of Robo Hunter all the way those weeks ago, where there's a lot of evocations of concentration camps with the way that the humans were collected and housed. There is, for me, so much of a tonality that shifted from that to just pure, like, satirical, like, absurdity. There has to be some cohesion or some consistency, and you can have a balance, but I don't think a balance was quite met at the end. I think there could have been some other joke or some other punchline that was thrown in there that maybe would have offset the, I guess you could say, the inconsistent tone of that run. It wasn't quite achieved. It doesn't mean that it was horrible. It doesn't mean that, again, that I wouldn't recommend this, especially to comic artists. But yeah, with that said, I still feel on some level that left me feeling a little bit uncertain of what is this comic going for.
Well, okay, I guess the question is, so Nice Man, you read this comic as a kid, right?
No,
Oh,
not really.
okay.
Well, because by that time, what was I doing? I was at university in Scotland.
So when did you first come across this then?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I really don't. But I mean, I did, because I remember thinking how much I enjoyed it. And then there were it was colorized.
Okay.
Some of the arcs were colorized and distributed here by Quality Comics.
Okay, yeah. Of course.
Okay.
I bought some of the issues, but it was difficult because they were drawn with black and white in mind. And when they were reproduced for color American consumption, the pages were kind of a bit small for, the typical American comic book size or something like that. But, it's distinctive characters. The British comic makers, really, I mean, what do they really go for? The exaggerated, the theatrical, the absurd, the this, the that, as opposed to soap opera, frankly.
True.
So that's why you get Judge Dredd and Robo Hunter and all this kind of stuff. But then when Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon did The Punisher, that tone, that British-Irish sensibility was perfect for The Punisher, because The Punisher is a caricature of a character. Just the bullshit stuff about, yes, his wife and kids were murdered by the mob, and therefore he goes after killing the mob. Okay, well, that's boring after one issue. But the way they did it, the tone was exactly right. Alan Moore is able to achieve that with Tom Strong.
Oh,
again,
yeah, of course.
Just great entertainment. It's entertainment without too much soap opera. But so I just think there's some obvious links between the British Irish writers, and you just seem to know this is a British comic book writer, not
100%. 100%. Well, guess what, Nice Man? Speaking of Alan Moore, guess what we're doing next episode?
Let me guess. Alan Moore. Let's see. I will tell you my 3 preferences, and then you can say, well, actually, we're not doing any of those.
Go ahead.
Yes. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
We're not doing it yet. Not yet.
Okay. Tom Strong.
Not yet.
All right. Strike 2. Alan Moore. Surely we're not doing Swamp Thing.
No, we're doing Miracle Man.
Oh, okay. I liked his Miracle Man.
Of course you did.
Oh, of
Everybody
course.
likes Miracle Man. I'm so excited for this.
Thank God it's not the Neil Gaiman Miracle Man.
Well, we'll talk about that another time.
Wow.
Anyway, but so we're going to be doing Miracle Man Book 1, A Dream of Flying, which is only about 3 American comics, but by Alan Moore standards, it's going to be a dense read.
Mm-hmm.
But we will do our best to squeeze it into 1 episode.
And I have the first issue, don't I? Downstairs in the basement, Warrior number 1.
Oh, I have like Warrior number 3, but you've got number 1. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I got number 1.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe you can bust it out next episode. Maybe you can have the copy with you. But anyway, okay, so there you go. Yeah, Miracle Man Book 1, A Dream of Flying. I want to thank Adam-Antium for joining us. I want to thank Nice Man for joining us. And we'll be doing, just about every British comic ever written in the upcoming future. Be sure to join us every other week for UK CORRAL. Be sure to join us every other week for Taped Crusaders, and almost every week for Laser Brains. And you can find all of our episodes at comicbooksyndicate.com. And I guess that's it. Until the next time, see you later.